What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. Welcome to our daily show where we discuss everything going on here in our country that you need to know about here on a daily basis. And right now, the Senate has reached a deal, a major deal here going forward. We got a lot to talk about here in this video, but this deal on gun reform is going to shape the future of our country. This comes as we've had multiple different major shootings. Remember that there is more mass shootings right now than there are days in the year. That's right. We average over 10 mass shootings a week here in the United States. A mass shooting is considered 4 people shot in the incident or more, not including the gunman. Yeah, so the Senate has, as you can see here, senators announced a bipartisan agreement on this. This includes the Republicans, and there will be, at least at this point, enough Republican senators to pass it, which is the important thing here because we need at least 10 Republican senators to pass this. Here is some preliminary details on this deal that has been announced. Check this out.
Let's go to NBC's Yamiche Alcindor, who has more information, more reporting about what is in this framework. Yamiche.
Well, good morning, Jonathan. This is, of course, coming together on an early Sunday. And what I can tell you is that I've been talking to sources, including a U.S. senator briefed on this plan, who say that there is a framework in place. It's unclear exactly how many senators have signed off, but I'm going to read you a little bit about what I've been told and what our other colleagues, Josh Letterman and Frank Thorpe, have been told about this deal. There's going to be incentives for states to implement red flag laws that deny guns to people deemed a risk to themselves or others. There's also enhanced background checks for 18 to 21-year-olds in this country. There's funding for mental health, school safety funding, a provision addressing the, quote, boyfriend loophole on domestic violence, and another provisions talking about trafficking, straw purchases, and telehealth. Now, what isn't in this, of course, is a ban on assault weapons totally. We've heard President Biden say that he wanted to see that passed, but he also said if senators can't get to that, let's go to something else. And this is that something else. So the president has really pushed this country, he said, to turn pain into action. And now on this Sunday, we are seeing action from the Senate. Whether or not this ends up becoming a law, which right now has not been written yet, is still, of course, a question. But this is a big sign that senators are feeling the urgency of this moment, feeling the pain that we've heard from so many survivors and their families, as well as people who, of course, lost loved ones in Uvalde, Texas, and Buffalo, New York. But the deal is what I just told you, which is the framework to do a lot of different things that Democrats wanted to do for a very long time.
Yeah, and President Biden says he will sign the Senate's bipartisan gun proposal. Of course, it doesn't go as far as a lot of people, especially the gun victims' families would like, and what a lot of people would like, as we've seen many casualties from these shootings. But the problem here is, what can they pass? What can they pass? There's, even with this bipartisan deal, this bipartisan compromise, there's probably still going to be more than 50% of the Republicans, if not 75% of the Republicans in the Senate, still are probably going to vote no on this. Remember the NRA, the National Rifle Association, uh, contributes millions of dollars to a lot of the Republicans, and there's just going to be a lot of Republicans that will vote no to any type of gun reform, any at all, any type of legislation at all, anything that you propose, they would vote no instantly. Even before you even told them what it was, they would vote no to it. I mean, the NRA gives them millions of dollars, and we'll see how many, if it passes even. They need 10 Republicans to vote yes to pass this. And I mean, we're the only country in the world that has these type of mass shootings happen every single day. So, we're not talking about taking people's guns away, but we need some type of reform to try to lessen these type of incidences. You let me know your thoughts here in the comments. President Biden says that he plans to sign gun safety reforms proposed by a bipartisan group of senators, adding that he hopes the legislation comes to his desk soon. I want to thank Senators Chris Murphy, who gave that moving speech on the Senate floor that we showed here a couple days ago, and the members of the bipartisan groups, especially Senators Cornyn, who was the leader of the Republicans in this case, Senators Kirsten Sinema and Tillis, for their tireless work to produce the proposals, Biden said in a statement. Most significant gun safety legislation to pass Congress in decades. Quote, obviously, it does not do everything that I think is needed, but it reflects important steps in the right direction and would be the most significant gun safety legislation to pass Congress in decades. With bipartisan support, Republicans and Democrats, there are no excuses for delay and no reason why it should not quickly move through the Senate and the House. Each day that passes, more children are killed in this country. The sooner it comes to my desk, the sooner I can sign it, and the sooner we can use these measures to save lives, the president concluded. The president's remarks come shortly after the senators announced that they have drafted a framework for the legislation to reduce gun violence in the United States. This includes for buyers under 21 years of age. The deal would require an investigative period to review juvenile and mental health records, including checks for state databases and local law enforcement, the bipartisan group said. It's interesting how this is, they want to do this, they call this an enhanced background check, but only for buyers under 21 years of age. It's interesting. You guys can let me know your thoughts here on that. So it's weird how they just kind of pick that number out of the air. Yeah, let me know your thoughts here on this. A Republican aide involved in the negotiations stressed that the agreement is on principles, not details, which will be critical for Republicans, particularly the firearms related provisions. One or more of these provisions could be dropped, the aide said. Note that the House separately passed a measure last week, or actually in the last few days, which only like a few Republicans, I think it was like 5, and uh, said yes to it. The Senate has shown little interest in these proposals. That bill's not going to pass. So honestly, the Senate actually did it the right way here. The House kind of really didn't do it the right way. The House just kind of passed their own bill and just said, hey, Republicans, vote for it if you want to. And that's really not the way to kind of get Republicans to vote for, especially something that Republicans deem very controversial here. 75% of Americans in recent polls have said that this is something that's very needed, which is considered above a super majority here for gun reform. I mean, with all these shootings and mass shootings and happening at schools and stuff, most Americans, I mean, it's considered a super majority when you see those type of polling results here. I mean, that's enough to overturn a presidential veto. It's enough to impeach a president. Those type of results. Those are very, very high results. So, but the way that they did it in the Senate was actually the correct way to do it. When you just try to force it down Republicans' throats, like the House did, you're not going to get the votes. You notice they only got like a few votes in the House. I think it was 5. I'd have to go back and see. But the way they did it in the Senate was the correct way. You got to sit down, actually kind of let the Republicans lead a little bit here on say, hey, What are you willing to pass? What can we pass together? Not just draft a bill and vote on it, and it basically looks like the Democrats led there, which they kind of did. The Senate here, but the criticism here that you're going to get from a lot of people, especially the victims' families, is they're going to say is that a lot of people are going to say that this is not going to do enough. This does not ban assault rifles. A lot of people are going to say assault rifles are not meant to be in the hands of civilians. I've had a lot of people, military veterans, in the comments here of these videos say, I'm a military veteran, or I'm in the military right now, and I don't think that these assault rifles should be in the hands of civilians, just out on the streets. So, and of course, I get that everybody has a different opinion, and you may have a completely different opinion, but there's going to be a lot of criticism on that. The problem here is that the votes just aren't there. The votes just aren't there. They may have been able to get a full assault rifle ban, but this is what they were able to get right now. This is what they were able to get right now. And remember, this hasn't even passed yet. This hasn't even passed yet. They have a deal on it right now. They have to draft it and actually go through with the voting and actually get the details on paper and get the votes to go through. So remember, you heard the Republican aide there say that this deal is on principle and on the framework. So that's the key there. Because when it actually comes time to vote here, because what happens is you're going to get a lot of gun lobbyists, you're going to get the NRA, you're going to get a lot of pro-gun people saying, oh, no, no, I don't even think we should raise the age limit. I don't even think we should have background checks, even for people ages 18 to 21. You're going to get a lot of people saying, oh, I don't even think we should have any type of reform at all. You're going to get people saying that. So you're going to get people saying, no, 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 this is taking away our rights. We had people saying this when they wanted to enact seatbelts in cars. So people were saying this is anti-American. You're going to force us to wear seatbelts. What if I don't want to wear a seatbelt? So, and think about how many lives seatbelts saved today. But this is literally the argument that happened with seatbelts as well. Um, Yeah, so I mean, and honestly, it's the argument that people say about masks too. People, say the same thing about masks. People don't want to wear masks. So it's. I mean, you get the argument, right? You get the argument. So, um, like I said, you can really argue either point, and you sometimes you tell people what they can't do, and immediately you get people saying, oh no, I don't. I want to do that. That's kind of like the American way of doing things. But we're talking about guns and saving lives here, and children getting shot at schools. And if you just think about it realistically, we have to have a little bit of regulations and reform. And remember, when we think about, like, when we relate it to what you have to do to get a driver's license. You have to go through training. You have to go through a test. You have to sit down and do all these hours of learning just to get a driver's license, and go through the testing. You don't have to do a fraction of that for obtaining a gun. You could just kind of walk into Gander Mountain and do way less to actually get that. So by and large, it's a lot easier to buy a gun than it is to get a driver's license for a teenager, an 18-year-old, at least right now. And really, it still kind of will be. So let me know your thoughts here in the comments. But this is one of the things shaping our future here and going forward. This and the Roe versus Wade issue that's going to be coming up here. A lot of people, including the White House, think that Roe versus Wade is going to be struck down That's stood for about 50 years so far, around 50 years. And the White House is kind of bracing, and will really tens of hundreds of millions of people here in the United States. And that's one of the issues where, you could be on either side of the fence. It really comes down to, do you think the woman should have the choice? Do you think the government should be able to tell a woman she's forced to have a baby? Should the government be able to make that decision for a woman? And then you have the whole you know, babies' rights, and yeah, it's a really tough decision. Nobody wants to be put in that position. That's a really tough one. But the issue about that is, well, there's a lot of issues about that, but one of the issues about that is that it's kind of been federal law for 50 years that it's been legal, and now we have different Supreme Court justices up there. There's a Republican majority in the Supreme Court. So now there's different Supreme Court justices. They have a different opinion than some of the previous Supreme Court justices that were in there even just a few years ago. Because remember, a few have passed away. We just had one retire. So there's a few different Supreme Court justices in there. And now they're probably going to strike down the Roe versus Wade kind of ruling. And when that happens, if that happens here, which is expected to happen pretty shortly, and it could happen any day now. If and when that happens, well, that leaves it open for states to then say it is illegal to have abortions in our state. And if and when that happens, then what is probably going to happen is that one state could have it legal, another state could have it illegal, and it's going to be a very not united states in that particular situation, in that it could be legal in one state, illegal in another state, and it's going to be a very odd situation in that women are going to have very different rights across the border of each state. In some states, women are going to be forced to have a baby. If they're pregnant, they're not going to have any choices at all. And in some states, the woman is going to have the choice. And yeah, it's going to be a very different situation if that gets struck down by the 9 Supreme Court justices. Okay, so we're talking about millions and millions of women that will not have the choice over their own body anymore. Yeah, so it's going to be, like I said, these two issues are going to shape the landscape of the United States here, potentially for many, many years to come. And a lot of lives are at risk for millions of people in both scenarios. In both scenarios. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. They're both kind of very, very controversial issues. And, you know, you could put me on a debate team and I could argue either side of them. There's a lot of people that are on both sides of the fence for both of them. And, that's the thing. We're going to probably see a lot of, I don't know, protests or I think especially with the Roe versus Wade one, I think we're going to see a lot of people, uh, rallying, protesting. We've already seen it at the Supreme Court justices, like kind of outside their houses and stuff. And the women's rights movement is, I don't know how much we're going to see of it about the gun rights, because it really, when you look at what's changing, it's really not that much that's actually changing. I think over time it's gonna curb down a little bit. It's gonna reduce the incidences a little bit, but I mean it's not gonna dramatically reduce the amount of incidences. It's not like they're banning complete classes of them. So, I mean, it's a step in the right direction, at least in the scheme of we're going to be curbing the incidences a little bit, you know. You know, but the thing is that we have more mass shootings than days of the year. So, yeah. Let me know your thoughts here in the comments. I'll keep you up to date here. We got a lot going on here in our country, and I will keep you up to date here. Make sure to subscribe down below to our YouTube channel. It's completely free to do so, and then click the bell icon after subscribing so you get notifications when we go live with new videos. You can click here to see my latest video on Social Security raises that just came out, $2,400 per year more. And this video here on stimulus checks that just came out, a very good video there. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.